Wasteland 3 has dropped its second and sadly final DLC, Cult of Holy Detonation. This expansion comes completely packaged with a handful of things you really wouldn't expect to see in a post-apocalyptic version of Colorado. But just like the base game and the Steeltown DLC, you never know what surprise is around the corner. Grab your tinfoil hats, a Geiger counter, a bag of your favorite mushrooms, and a skin flute? Because we're heading back to Colorado, Rangers. Suit up, though, because it's about to get nuclear. Nuclear.
It's pronounced nuclear.
Never mind. Roll the title. In a game filled with giant AI statues of Ronald Reagan, cyborgs, cannibalism, mobsters, dirty cops, mutants, zombies, aliens, slavery, murder, sex-crazed donkeys, sex-crazed robots, an army of people who wear Halloween costumes, gangs of people tying other people to kites to appease the gods. You know, the usual things you would expect to find in a dystopian tundra post-apocalyptic alternate version of Colorado. You find yourself wondering, how crazier can they really get? Well, as it turns out, those beautiful minds at an exile can get pretty crazy. Wrapping back into the Kodiak and exploring Colorado each time the visit is so unique, it's hard to ignore all the fun and humor that is happening inside this dark, gritty world. And it only gets weirder as you go on. Cult of Holy Detonation is no different. Right away, we're thrown into the middle of the conflict between the two main factions of Cult of Holy Detonation. You see, these people have stumbled upon a nuclear explosion that is frozen in a suspended animation that can provide infinite power. This is why we were sitting here, because this accidental miracle is not only able to provide power for Colorado Springs, but potentially all of Colorado. The problem is, these two factions worship this miracle as a god. One group, the Primordialists, believe that worshiping their god, the Holy Detonation, that through the radiation we will all merge into a giant hive mind being called the Proteus, who is clearly in charge here. Just look at that at. The other group, the Nucleus, they want to be gods, so they siphon the radiation until they become angels and view the Primordialists as heretics, so they blocked them from being able to worship their god, the Holy Detonation. But as usual, they're both entirely insane cults that worship a nuclear explosion. But if we play our cards right, we could have power for everyone and please the Patriarch. And you know around here, we simp for the Patriarch.
Be my guest. Well done.
Your first task is building a containment unit for a super radioactive, soon-to-be Angel Iridium, so we can use her as a bargaining chip with the Nucleus leader Abbot Ethereum, while at the same time looking for a prisoner the Nucleus have taken, Father Beotra. This is where Wasteland 3 shines the best, and this DLC is no different. They just let you go, and whatever you uncover or come across only gets weirder and more insane as you go. From unveiling a surveillance couple who has been monitoring not only you, but all of Colorado like a police state, to discovering a generation of Russian spies who have been living in an underground bunker with a tunnel to hell.
One question only. Who is greatest enemy of glorious Soviet Republic?
The great enemies! You know their names?
To finding our favorite mushroom fanatic, the prisoner, who has been killing people with mushrooms in the name of science, to getting our hands on a skin flute so we can Epona song away all those annoying flesh tumors. Cult of Holy Detonation, just like Wasteland 3, is wild, yet it still manages to tell a decent story behind all the silly humor. As far as the new mechanics go, the new buff/debuff Holy Radiation, which provides extra health and healing at the cost of hit chance and combat speed, is more annoying than helpful, and the cost to get rid of them is a little expensive, especially if you killed or arrested the mushroom prisoner. I eventually just ended up learning how to play with it. even though my Rangers after proceeded to miss every single shot, throwing me into a fiery tornado of frustration and fury. But that's XCOM, baby. Oh, shit. That's the wrong game. But it does have a benefit, I guess. Maybe. Cult of Holy Detonation, of course, comes with a handful of new weapons and armors to play around with, as well as new consumables and companions to tag along with you, adding a whole new slew of new crafting recipes, utility items, weapon mods. There's a shit ton of content in here. And the new strategic objective encounters are nice, and they bring a ton of depth to some of the fights, and they have you planning, moving, and playing differently than other encounters, even if some of them can be frustrating, not really because of design or your gameplay, but simply you rely on the AI to do something, and for whatever reason, they just won't go to that fucking platform. I didn't really like the ending. Even though the environments and atmosphere were beautiful, I felt really off-put by the price you had to pay for the peaceful ending, which is sacrificing a ranger who is all juiced up on holy radiation and transforming them into a drool, which I was not prepared for, so I did what any self-respecting gamer would do, and I save scummed. And I went all the way back to headquarters, created a brand new custom ranger, and renamed him Goat. And then I drug Goat all the way back to the volcano and threw his ass in there just so I could achieve the ending I wanted with the rangers I've grown attached to. It's more of a personal preference than a complaint, I guess. I was just shocked to see that neither DLC came with an increase to the level cap, which is fine, I get it for balancing and all that. But after you complete the Steel Town DLC and the Cult of Holy Detonation DLC, you're pretty much hitting the level cap and you still have half of the game to complete. So I had nothing left to look forward to power growth wise besides benching my favorite rangers and trying out some new ones. Overall though, I had a great time with Cult of Holy Detonation and Wasteland 3 as a whole. There were a handful of bugs that plagued this title at launch, especially for my friends on console, but most of them seem to be ironed out a year later. Most of them. Cult of Holy Detonation is no different than its predecessor and base game. It's a wild, wacky roller coaster ride with a gritty, dark story underneath it. The path you choose will not heavily impact the base game or the main story, but the gear, the companions, and everything else you pull out of there will be a huge boon for anyone that loves to customize and bring depth to their gameplay. The atmosphere, the music, the voice acting, the settings are all top-notch again, even if the ending did leave a sour taste in my mouth. The new mechanics can be a little annoying, and kiting enemies can be troublesome at times, but Cult of Holy Detonation is a wonderful addition to Wasteland 3, and for its price, it's a pretty great deal. Wasteland 3 is such a beautiful gem in an industry plagued with overhyped unfinished games, battle passes, a new battle royale every 6 months. Between what's popular on Twitch and what's coming out next, it's a surprise a game like Wasteland 3 is still being created. I loved this DLC, and I loved this game. Even with its quirks and minor flaws, I can't wait to jump back into the Kodiak and experiment. I'm sad we won't be seeing any more updates, but at the same time, I'm excited to see what comes next from those crazy bastards at In Exile. Just please, please don't leave Wasteland on the bench for too long, guys. And as always, thanks for watching.